Hello, listeners, and welcome to the podcast. My name is Dylan Ellis, and today I'm going to be talking about A.F.C. Bournemouth, nicknamed the Cherries, and their recent rise and fall from the Premier League. And we'll be discussing a few other topics on the way. There's going to be four subtopics. First of all, we're going to talk about their season in their rise to the Prem, and then we're going to talk about their fall, and then we'll move on to this season, their performances throughout this season, and then a bit about their management. Obviously, they've gone through some difficulties with managers over the past couple of years, and then we're going to finish it off talking about a bit about the playoffs, which are currently going on in the Championship now. So today we're lucky enough to have a special guest on the show. If you'd like to introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Cameron. I'm a good mate of Dylan's, and I'm also a football fan like himself.
Thank you, Cameron. It's good to have you here today. So the first thing I want to discuss today is the season of 2014-15. So we're going back quite a way. This is talking about in the Championship, which is the second tier of English football. So Bournemouth that season in 2014-15 actually won the Championship. They were top of the table by 1 point and automatically got promoted. At the time, the manager was Eddie Howe, who we'll talk about him a bit later on. He actually won Manager of the Month 3 times that season, which is quite an achievement.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's something I would like to do in our six-side team. Callum Wilson, who you know, I know, I've met him once. Lovely bloke. He was joint third top goal scorer in the league with 20 goals, which is quite an achievement.
That's good.
Yeah. That was a really successful season for Bournemouth. They obviously won the league, and made many of their fans happy to see that their team had been promoted to the top flight in English football for the first time ever in their history of the club, which is a huge achievement, really.
Yeah.
So going on to speak a little bit about that, that was in they obviously won in 2014-15, won the Championship, got promoted to the Premier League, the big money in 2015-16. Do you remember the time they got promoted? Can you remember?
Yeah, I remember.
About it?
I can't remember who relegated or who went up. Was it?
I'm pretty sure Burnley got relegated from the Premier League that season. I think.
I saw Swansea. That was when that was when they were on form.
Yeah,
so they had,
definitely.
Bonnie, and then they had that other guy. I forgot. It's like a winger.
Michu.
I think they had Ayew as well. John Ayew.
Mm-hmm. It was a very competitive Championship the season before, but Bournemouth obviously came out on top. I think that was when Yeovil were in the Championship as well. I think they got relegated that season, and then since have taken a deep fall.
They were doing so well,
considering
it's like Yeovil, it's a small town.
Very
if you know
small
what
town.
I mean. That's actually incredible.
Obviously, we're here in Yeovil recording.
Yeah.
Not a tangent, but So the 2015-16, obviously, Bournemouth would have got a large amount of money from winning the Championship. Obviously, not as much as if you won the Premier League, but still a decent amount of money to make some solid purchases to try and secure their place in the Premier League again for the next season. So transfers made that season from Bournemouth going into the Premier League. I've got Arthur Boruk on a free from Southampton. Don't know if you remember him, the goalkeeper, Polish goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Had quite a good season at Southampton before. Was their top.
Was Southampton
top
in the
goalkeeper.
Premiership?
Yeah, they were in the Premier League
that's
then.
That's good signing, and it's on the fray.
Yeah, definitely. And he's still actually at the club to this day. So he's been there a good while. Good signing from them there, really, just considering it was a free and they didn't have to really bust into that budget at all.
And they got a experienced goalkeeper from the Premiership.
Definitely.
That's like handled with like players like, you know.
Yeah.
Like who was in their prime then? Who got like Sergio Aguero?
Yeah, Aguero.
Was Rooney playing much then?
Yeah, maybe a bit of a deeper role, but yeah, definitely.
It's a lot of
top quality
quality
players,
like legends known as now.
Yeah,
so yeah,
really, yeah.
Good signing. So they're going into the Premiership, getting an experienced goalie.
Yeah, that's what you need, I'd say. If you were going, I would aim to get some of those more experienced players that maybe won't break the bank. You won't have to spend that much just because of their age, but they are experienced, so they do add that quality to your side that you definitely need in the Premier League. The second transfer I have written down here is a name, Cameron, that you'll definitely know. Joshua King from Blackburn Rovers. They actually signed him for £1 million, which
that's a hell of a signing.
Yeah, that's a bargain. If we all know about him currently, he's obviously joined Everton now from Bournemouth.
Was that a loan or a?
I think that's a permanent deal. Yeah, I'm
How
pretty
much?
sure. I'm not sure about the figure of
how
that
much would
signing,
you value Josh King at now,
King,
considering when they bought him?
I would say around 30 million.
Yeah.
It's probably the price. Obviously, he was doing really well for Bournemouth, and we'll talk a bit more about that. But maybe not really given the chance at Everton, I would say.
I haven't seen him start yet.
He hasn't. Obviously, Dominic Calvert-Lewin has been played up front. And Richarlison for Everton this season. So he hasn't really been given a chance. I know that he prefers to play in that sort of deeper role, maybe as a number 10, not as a number 9, playing balls through to the strikers and having a bit more of a creative side to him. But yeah, overall for Bournemouth, I think that was a great signing, picking him out as a player, especially a player coming from Blackburn. Obviously not a top side, but they obviously spotted talent in him. Obviously previously he played for Manchester United as a youth player. So obviously they knew him from there and saw the quality that he has.
That's an excellent signing, yeah.
Yeah.
Another good signing. That's 2 good signings so far.
Yeah. Obviously, this is just a couple of the standard. They obviously made quite a few signings, but these are a couple that relate to like now and how Bournemouth are doing now, and some of the best signings that they've made, and some of the maybe not so good ones. This one was a bit of a controversial signing, really. So. Cam, you might not be aware of this, but they brought in Tyrone Mings from Ipswich.
Yeah.
You know who Tyrone Mings is.
Yeah.
But
he was quality at Bournemouth.
Yeah, but trouble is they paid £8 million for him, plus Ryan Fraser out on loan to Ipswich as well, which is, I would say, that's quite a lot of money for maybe a player that's not so experienced as some of the others. I know, obviously. It's not a lot of money talking in football these days, but then it would have been for Bournemouth. It would have been quite a large sum of their budget. And to lose a player like Ryan Fraser, who we know is great to this day, maybe if he got given the chances early on, he could have shown his talent more then.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing. They went for like a younger sort of player. Like it was like a risk, considering like if he excelled and succeeded, he could have been worth what like 60, 70 mil if he was definitely crazy. So they took a risk there.
Yeah,
they might have needed something defensively, but if I'm wrong, I think he might have played left back at Bournemouth.
Yeah, no, he did. Yeah, he played in that full-back position for Bournemouth, not central. Obviously, I think Bournemouth had Simon Francis and Steve Cook at the back in that season. Obviously, you know a bit about Simon Francis. So speaking about a tiny little bit more about Tyrone Mings. Obviously plays for Aston Villa now.
Yeah. Called up for the England squad.
I was going to mention that. Called up for England, and I think he has made an appearance for England. If I'm not correct, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So he. I know we've spoken about this in the past before, Tyrone Mings. I know you don't really rate him currently. I think maybe he is being a bit overhyped just purely because of his nationality, because he's English. I don't know if he really deserves to have that place in the England team over the likes of Cody, Maguire, Stones, maybe Kyle Walker or something. But I don't think he really has that ability that those players do. But still, a good signing for Bournemouth, and would have made them a lot of money going forwards that they obviously tried to capitalise on.
Quickly going back on Tyrone Mings, I think, in my opinion, Gareth Southgate, it was just a bad decision to call him up, because there's so many other different quality players that he should have put in front of him. And because he's now been called up for England squad, I think thinks that he's got it all and he can do it all, but in reality he shouldn't be called up, because then he needs to prove himself more. He needs a bit more time. And
I definitely think he needs a bit more time.
If he can improve before going in that England squad, then he could be quality and could help him a lot, but they currently don't need a player like Tyrone Mings in the team. No,
I think he will improve over time, but I think he does need to be allowed that time to improve. Moving on, another reaching out to Europe this time with Bournemouth, something that they may not have done previously, not being in the Premier League, maybe not as linked with those European clubs as much. So moved out to France here and signed Max Gradel, the winger, Ivorian I think he is, for 7 million. Again, it's quite a pricey one. He didn't really have a great impact on Bournemouth in the time that he was there. I think maybe that would have been a bit of a rush decision. Really. He was a quality player.
Was he young?
Yeah, he was young at the time. Maybe early 20s, I think. Yeah. And pacey winger, good on the ball. Maybe just lacked that end product, I think. Would have maybe seen him go on to do better things. But so not a great overall signing there, but it's just a chance they took, I guess.
Yeah, another risk.
Yeah, definitely. I think you need to take those risks going into the Premier League, though, to get the best results out of your team.
Because say if you do sign one of them and they outstand in the Premier League, then you could end top 6, top 10, considering they came from the Championship.
Yeah, definitely. The last actual permanent transfer I'll talk about is Benik Afobe from Wolves. That was a £10 million transfer. I think that was a bit of a disappointing one as well. I think, obviously, coming from a rival team in the Championship, I think they tried to weaken Wolves' side, but however, he didn't really make an impact for Bournemouth. He didn't really score that as many goals as he'd hoped, I guess. He actually had quite a good season though. 2015-16 scored 4 goals in 15 appearances. It's not bad, but
it's not.
What's
his position?
Striker. Yeah. Quite trying to I guess a prolific goal scorer, I guess, that sort of role, goal poacher, that sort of role. But not really a great signing there from Bournemouth. Their total spending that year was actually 37 million. So it's not too high, and I think personally they did get the good value of players there. There was no big transfers that left the club, so they didn't really lose any good players, which sometimes you would see a Championship side lose their best players. We've seen this last season, Brentford lose Ollie Watkins to Aston Villa and Ben Rama to West Ham, 2 of their best players. So yeah, it's definitely hard to keep hold of them just with money terms and bigger and brighter futures, really.
Yeah.
On that season, Bournemouth actually bought on loan Christian Atsu from Chelsea. I don't know if you remember him, Ghanaian.
Yeah.
Another pacey winger. Didn't really play much for Bournemouth. Again, they probably should have gave him a bit more time. And Juan Iturbe from Roma, another pacey winger. Again, not really given the time. He looked to be a quality player, but maybe should have made more of an impact on that team. So just talk about some of the stats that I have here from Bournemouth's players. As you can see, their top goal scorer was Josh King with 7 goals in 35 appearances. It's not really a great return as you've got as your top goal scorer brought in to sign those goals, score those goals. Sorry, Callum Wilson 13 appearances, 5 goals.
That's a good ratio.
Yeah, I think that's probably where we sort of first saw him shine for Bournemouth and go on to be the player that he is today. Benikofobi 13 appearances, 4 goals, and Mark Pugh and Junior Stanislas 5 goals, both coming from the wings there. They that season in the Premier League finished 16th, which is a respectable finish, I suppose, as their first season in the Premier League. Obviously, as you know, we've seen other teams come into the Prem and then get straight relegated that season. So they obviously coped reasonably well with that. They won 11 games, drew 9, and lost 18. So the thing
That's
they
not
probably
bad.
it's not bad at all, to be honest. The thing I think, looking at this stat here, they scored 45 goals and conceded 67 with a goal difference of -22. So they definitely lacked defensively.
Yeah.
Maybe talking about those transfers, should have bought into maybe big money defenders. Maybe spended that money less in attacking options and more defensive positions. They actually got to the 5th round of the FA Cup, which isn't too bad, and the League Cup they finished. They got knocked out in the 4th round. Just to talk a little bit about some key games in the Premier League that season for Bournemouth. This one you might remember. A victory for Bournemouth, 1-0 away at Chelsea. Dan Gosling with the goal. It was obviously great to see that Bournemouth can beat those better quality teams. They obviously had a great team that season as well, like Diego
Chelsea.
Costa.
Yeah. Frank Lampard was still there.
Yeah.
They have Willian.
Yeah. Willian was there.
Hazard.
Yeah. Oscar.
Crazy team. Right?
Yeah, it was a really good team and a great result for Bournemouth, really. And then that was on the 5th of December, and then the week after they went and beat Man United 2-1. Obviously, Man United didn't have the best of teams then, but still a great win for Bournemouth, really.
Yeah.
Not, to be honest, I don't think we've seen it this much this season where those smaller clubs have beaten bigger teams. I can't really think. Can
Sheffield
you think of?
Beat Manchester United, I think it was 1-0.
Oh yeah, that's one of them.
Leeds.
Yeah, Leeds obviously had a great season.
They've had a great season.
Yeah.
With Manchester City, they beat Man City 2-1, and then their first game was 2-0. So against supposedly the best club in the world, they've got some great results there.
Yeah, definitely. It wasn't a great first season in the Prem for Bournemouth, but an expected one, I'd say. You wouldn't expect your team to go up to the Prem and finish in the top half of the table, really.
Yeah.
So expected, really. They did well to stay up. They did. I don't think they spent their money that well as we saw in the transfers. Do you?
No.
No. Probably could have spent elsewhere. Brought in some good loans, but didn't really have a huge impact. But Eddie Howe made a promising start to life in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So that's the first season in the Premier League done, covered for Bournemouth. We'll move on to the 2016-17 season, where this was, as you probably remember, Bournemouth's best season in the Premier League by far. They finished ninth, and showed that they could play some great attacking, attractive football, which their fans love to see, and I think many football fans also love to see. Like, there's not many teams in the Premier League that play like that, like the way they do with the attacking football. Most new teams that get promoted like to sit back and allow other teams to play the way they want to play and try and counter off that, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was great to see. Some good results coming from that season, including a very dramatic game, a 4-3 win at home against Liverpool. I don't know if you remember, one of your fellow players, Nathan Ake, scoring the winner in the last minutes of the game. Yeah, that was a great result for Bournemouth there. Josh King was the top goal scorer that season with 16 goals, so a huge improvement from before. Yeah. Really, what did we say he had before? I think
it was 5,
7 goals, was it?
I think it was 6 or 7. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a really good season for Bournemouth, I would say. A huge improvement from last time. Right, so we've just covered the 16-17 season. Now we move on to the 2017-18 season. A solid season. Sees Bournemouth finished 12th in their third season in the Premier League. They brought in some great signings, including 2 Chelsea players, Asmir Begovic for 10 million.
Quality keeper.
Yeah, great keeper. I don't know if you remember, he scored that goal from
I was watching clips last night of the goalkeepers that have scored in the Prem, and I watched that exact clip last night.
That was for Stoke, and it was a brilliant goal, really. A highlight of his career. So another experienced goalkeeper, good signing, very highly rated at the time. And then the other signing from Chelsea was, obviously, Nathan Ake was on loan, but they decided to make this deal permanent for a fee of £20 million, which is a big money signing for Bournemouth. But he is that quality player.
He is incredible.
We see. He was brilliant for Chelsea, but not given the game time. Obviously, went out on loan to a couple of different clubs. Had a previous season at Watford. Had a great season there. Just a top quality player. Do you want to talk a bit more about him, considering you're a Man City fan?
Well, I mean, yeah, he's a quality player. Considering he's been at so many clubs, performed at every single club. Not too sure of his age. I'm just gonna. Is it alright if I just search it up quickly?
Yeah, that's fine. Obviously, not too old, but have you got that?
Yeah, he's 26 years old. He's been at a lot of different clubs, and now, I mean, moved from Bournemouth to Man City. That's a big jump.
Yeah.
Considering, yeah.
I've got the fee here of 41 million. That City signed him for, which was I believe there's a record that was broken there of a young defender. I can't really think. Obviously, he would have been 22 then, so quite young. Bournemouth also signed Jermaine Defoe on a free that season. Top
Insane
quality striker.
Player,
for Tottenham before and Sunderland. They signed him. They signed him from. Obviously a lovely guy as well with the Bradley Lowery thing. I don't know if you remember that, the poor young child that had cancer.
Was that the Southampton?
No, it was Sunderland.
Sunderland, that's the one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was a great signing for Bournemouth, really. A standout result from that season was to win 3-0 at Chelsea. It's becoming a recurring theme of Bournemouth beating Chelsea. We're seeing. So 3-0. What a result for Bournemouth. But unfortunately, they lost 2-1 to to Chelsea in the quarterfinals of the EFL Cup.
That's not too bad, considering Chelsea's side a 2-1 loss ain't the worst to take, considering they beat them 3-0.
Yeah, you could argue that Bournemouth are maybe Chelsea's bogey team. They struggle to win against them. They'll be lucky that, well, hopefully, Chelsea will not want Bournemouth to return to the Premier League next season, but hopefully they do. So that's the 17-18 season covered. We'll move swiftly on to the 18-19. Bournemouth finished 14th. A poor season, really, considering their recent seasons. Maybe you can start to see slowly that the other teams around them were improving and Bournemouth were staying put, really. Some big money signings, though, including David Brooks, who still plays for Bournemouth very good player. He was. We'll talk a little bit more about him later on. Moved from Sheffield for 11.5 million, which was quite an expensive fee, considering he was quite young. But he proved to be a great talent for Bournemouth. Then also Diego Rico, the Spanish left back, and Jefferson Lerma, who you know is a very talented player, still playing for Bournemouth from Levante. Also, another player that you might know, Cameron, is Dominic Solanke from Liverpool, a striker who still plays for them and still performing pretty well. Obviously, when he was playing in the Premier League, obviously he didn't get much game time at Liverpool. Probably wanted to move elsewhere to Bournemouth to get that game time under his belt, but he didn't really prove anything at Bournemouth. I think he actually went out on loan after that, and then obviously came back to them playing in the Championship. Also signed Chris Meppen from Brentford, a rival club in the Championship this season, for 12 million. A good defensive signing there. Obviously, we've seen now that maybe they've learnt a bit from their mistakes and improved defensively with some of their big money signings. They also sold Benicavobi back to Wolves for 10 million, so the same they bought him for. Bit of an odd transfer there.
It is.
They and then just one standout player on loan, really. They bought in Nathan Clyne from Southampton, who was a very experienced English right back who actually appeared quite a lot for England, but maybe wasn't the player they were looking for, really.
Did he play for Liverpool?
Yeah, he did as well.
I remember that.
I think he signed permanently for Liverpool from Southampton.
Yeah, that's disappointing to see because he was the right talent. I'm surprised he didn't perform for Bournemouth as they expected, considering considering he showed his talent for England and for Liverpool and all that. Just weird to see that he didn't perform.
Mm-hmm. I don't actually know currently where he is. I'm not sure. I think he's sort of fallen under the radar a bit in recent times. So that's the 2018-19 season all wrapped up. Obviously 14th, not the best, but at least they survived another season. Now, the 2019-20 season, this was not good for Bournemouth fans. The year they were relegated from the Premier League, finishing 18th. Obviously, not even finishing 17th. It's just sad to see, really. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, they did well to get in the Premiership and stay there for a good couple of seasons.
Yeah, definitely.
Relegation, I mean, considering you could slowly see the decrease, relegation was always on the horizon. But hopefully they can get back in the Premiership soon, make some good signings, and be the club they used to be. Yeah,
definitely. They brought in quite a few players that season that we've seen shine for Bournemouth in the Championship this season. So they brought in Philip Billing from Huddersfield, who we've seen as a great signing for Bournemouth this season. Really proved himself in the Championship, playing maybe not in the role that they thought they bought him. They thought of he was sort of a holding defensive midfielder, and now plays in that number 10 role, more attacking and looks like a great signing. And then obviously a player that you also know, Danjuma Groeneveld from Club Brugge. They bought him for 13.7 million, which
good
was
signing.
Yeah, very good signing. Great player to this day.
Yeah.
Obviously wasn't known highly then, but obviously proved himself in this season. A sad departure for Bournemouth was Mark Pugh to QPR, a player that had played for the club for a long time and served them well. They also sold Tyrone Mings, who we've spoken about, to Villa for 20 million,
That's
which
a good
was
return,
good price. Yeah. Obviously, I'd probably say maybe valued a bit more than 20 million now, but not too much more. They brought in some loans. Harry Wilson, we saw him score a great hat trick the other week for Cardiff.
Oh, he's a quality player.
Yeah, he really is.
Did he not shine for
Welsh
Bournemouth?
winger. Yeah, no, he did. He was there. He scored some great free kicks. Actually, that's what I most loved about him. His free kick ability was brilliant. Obviously, from Liverpool as well, coming from Liverpool. So a good loan. The loans out is they some key ones are Sam Surridge, who we know who used to play for Yeovil. He went on loan to Swansea, and Asmir Begovic went to Qarabag, who play in one of the
like a Bosnian division.
It's something to do with his background, I believe. Why he went out on loan there. Obviously, they kept Arthur Borek. He was obviously their keeper and served Bournemouth well through those Premier League seasons. So they got relegated by 1 point, which is, as you're making that facial expression, it is hard to see, as Aston Villa stayed up. Callum Wilson was actually their top goal scorer that season with 8 goals in the Prem. So again, a bit of a downfall from what we saw before, but still a decent return. And then Harry Wilson bagged himself 7 goals, so proved a great signing for them. But then again, not enough to keep Bournemouth up. And then we come to this season, 2020-2021 season. Yeah. So, obviously, back in the Championship, under a new manager. We'll talk about that in a minute. After the final day of the Championship, which was played on the 8th of May, which was last week. So, obviously, we're talking recent times. It was against Stoke. Bournemouth, unfortunately, lost 2-0. This meant that they finished in 6th position. It's obviously not great. You'd expect them to finish where Watford,
Norwich,
Watford and Norwich would have finished this season in those first and second positions. Would have loved to see that, but unfortunately, it was not meant to be. However, this means that because they finished in 6th, they do have a chance to get promotion. They're playing in the playoffs. They also reached the semi-finals of the FA Cup this season, which was a good achievement considering being relegated. They're unfortunately losing out to their rivals Southampton 3-0. Bit of a disappointing result for Bournemouth fans there. Something that I'd like to talk about a bit, just quickly, is during this season. Obviously, as we know, the pandemic, means that some of the season was played without fans due to COVID. Do you reckon that had any effect on Bournemouth season at all?
Well, yeah, it can take effect on a lot of people because there's no motivation when there's fans out, because when there's fans out there to cheer you on, and when you score they all go crazy, it's just a good atmosphere. But when it's just your teammates said it's just silence though, and there's just nothing to motivate you to keep playing, considering they just got relegated. There's no fans.
Yeah,
there just wasn't much in it for them.
Yeah, definitely probably would have taken a bit of an impact on them. So with COVID and everything, obviously it's slowly coming back to normal now. We're allowed fans back in the ground, so should be good. But yeah, like you say, it's very hard to play under that atmosphere. No atmosphere really. You can hear everything as we've seen in this lockdown on the TV. You can hear pretty much everything of the players, but pretty silent and like a ghost town in the stadiums. It's not a nice environment to be in, and I do feel sorry for the players. So talking a bit about transfers, this season they bought in Jack Wilshere on a free from West Ham.
He was a great player. He was
a great player. Yep.
Insane.
Obviously, a great midfielder who could pick out those key passes. Taken a bit of a fall due to injuries.
Injuries, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Probably would have seen him become a top quality midfielder in the Premier League if he didn't have those injuries. But put in a good shift for Bournemouth and was sort of that player that they maybe need that experience to try and get them back into the Premier League. And they also bought in Carter Vickers from Tottenham, a young defender on loan, who's currently playing in that centre-back role for them. Good signing, I would say, Carter Vickers, young player from a top club in the Premier League.
Good potential.
Yeah, very good potential. Good to get their hands on him, I think. And then another player that we know, Shane Long, on loan from Southampton. Up the Irish boys. They sold a lot of crucial players that season. So they obviously had financial troubles where players wouldn't want to stay at the club due to a decrease in wages, as we've seen before. Some Championship clubs lose out on top players, like we've mentioned. Top goal scorers that season, we see Dominic Solanke get 15 goals, so he's proved himself in the Championship that he can be that top quality striker. Obviously, he didn't really settle in the Premier League, but if they do make it into the Prem, maybe he might make his return. Yeah, definitely. Danjuma from the wing, 15 goals as well.
That's incredible.
It's a great goal scoring record, that one, especially from being out on the wing. As you know, you obviously don't get involved as much in front of goal, but obviously Danjuma has taken his chances really well this season.
Cut in, put it across goal. Good player.
Yeah, definitely. Junior Stanislas on the wing again with 11 goals.
That's
and
good.
Philip Billing from that number 10 role, proven great with 8 goals. So yeah, a solid season really for Bournemouth. A bit unfortunate to not see them guarantee automatic promotion, but they do have a chance in the playoffs. So now we're going to talk a bit about the playoffs. In result, Bournemouth finishing 6th. They will play in the playoffs this season. So how the playoffs works, if our listeners out there don't know, is 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th play 2 semi-final legs. The winner of both of those legs will go on to play the other team that won in that semi-final in the final, and whoever wins in that final will end up being promoted to the Premier League, as well as we know, Watford and Norwich, two very good sides this season. So the first semi-final legs have already been played. They both took place yesterday, as of recording, the 17th of May. Barnsley lost to Swansea 1-0, which, but your face is a bit shocked there.
None of them should be in the Prem. Get them out.
Obviously Barnsley have had a good season in the Championship, finishing 3rd. So a good season for Barnsley.
One season wonder.
Unlucky to lose to Swansea there. The Cherries won 1-0 at home against Brentford.
Big win.
A great result.
Brentford's side this season's been incredible. You know, you got the likes of Ivan Toney up front. He's been quality for them. You know,
yeah,
just,
really.
Imagine him in the Prem just running through, scoring, because he's just crazy good. He just brings so much talent.
Do you reckon he has what it takes to perform in the Premier League this season?
I'd say he does, because he's got a lot to him. He's got like the strength. It's not like, you know, he's not going to get shut down by the likes like Diaz and Van Dijk, because he's strong. He'll be able to muscle them. He's got pace. He's got good finishing.
Yeah, a great talent.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see him in the Prem, but obviously Bournemouth are the best team to be in the Prem.
Yeah. Well, maybe if Brentford don't get promoted, we could see Ivan Toney get snatched up by a Premier League club. Maybe the likes of.
Nice for City to sign him. See how he does.
I would say maybe Arsenal might look to sign him. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang getting a bit old now. Lacazette not really performing.
He's had a good season, if you know.
And Tottenham, maybe the likes of Harry Kane and Heung-min Son leaving, they'll be looking to sign a striker. There's a multitude of teams really that need a striker like Ivan Toney, who could be a crucial signing for them, I think. So if we don't see Brentford promoting, then I reckon he could move elsewhere during the summer. So moving on to talk about a bit more about that Bournemouth game. Dan Juma with the goal. It was a great goal to watch. Many of the fans will be happy for that. The second legs of this games are on the 22nd of May, which is this Saturday of recording. So we'll be watching that Bournemouth game. That will link into the documentary that I will be creating that will follow up this podcast as well. Be talking a bit more about the playoffs in that and some build up to those games. Bournemouth obviously will go on to either play Swansea or Barnsley in the final to have a chance at returning to the Premier League. Eddie Howe did a great job for Bournemouth in the Premier League, and obviously he won't be there to witness them go up again if they do manage to go up. Eddie Howe managed Bournemouth for 8 successful years, a very long time at the club. I believe there is a record out there broken by him for longest serving English manager in the Prem, I think, if I'm not mistaken. He left the club after a mutual agreement on the 1st of August in 2020, so later on last year. Obviously very disappointing for Bournemouth fans and football fans really to see Eddie Howe, a great manager, leave the club. What's your opinions on that, Cameron?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be like tough for them to get back in form considering they've been with him for so long. You know, they're going to need a new manager to get him back up to the Prem and doing well. But yeah, do you have any idea who he's managing now, or is he retired?
No, there was rumours that he might have taken over Frank Lampard for the Chelsea job, but obviously that was Thomas Tuchel taking over. It would be very nice to see him manage a Premier League side. There had been rumours of him when Arsene Wenger departed Arsenal. There was rumours of him taking over there, but nothing's really shown that promising from his perspective. It would be great though to see him back managing a Premier League club and taking another team to the glory that Bournemouth saw. So 7 days later, from the 1st of August, after Eddie Howe was sacked, they appointed Jason Tindall, who was a former player at the club and Eddie Howe's assistant manager. So he, as Bournemouth fans will know, he wasn't the best man for the job. He was sacked on the 3rd of February in 2021, despite being second in the league in mid-December, which is which is good considering. However, he undertook a run of games and just one win in 8 games, which is not great for a team of Bournemouth's quality in the Championship. However, Tyndall was replaced by first team coach Jonathan Woodgate, who will most of our listeners might know from playing alongside Ronaldo, R9 at Real Madrid. A great player in his time, and who's now managing Bournemouth and trying to get them promoted. Obviously, I'd love to see Bournemouth promote this season. What's been your overall thoughts on Bournemouth's rise and fall, Cameron?
Well, I mean, you can see the management change has took a big toll on them, but hopefully they can find the right manager, find the right players, make the right signings, and easily be back up in the Prem, pushing for top 10, because they have the players to do that now with the likes of the new signings they've brought in. Everyone, they easily got it.
Yeah, definitely. Do you see the current manager, Jonathan Woodgate, maybe being a long-term solution for Bournemouth?
Yeah, I think he could lead them to success. I mean, if he wins the playoffs, they would have got back in the Premier League pretty much instantly from their demotion. But yeah, I mean, if he keeps performing and if he keeps making the right signings, so you see results from his side, then you could easily see him be doing well in the Prem, because he's got the experience for it. Playing as you say, playing along the likes of Ronaldo. He knows what's going on. Yeah,
definitely. I would say that if Bournemouth do manage to get into the Premier League, they will need to make those big money signings though, and hopefully learn from their mistakes previously to spend that money well, getting those experienced players that they need, and sorting out the weakened positions that we've seen this season. So just as an overall thing, talking about Bournemouth this season, Cameron, who would be your Bournemouth player of the season for you?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of good players here, but like Dominic Solanke, I mean, he's been there for quite some time. He does have 15 goals, but he's been there for quite some time. So, I mean, a player that's came from, Club Brugge and just succeeded for them and done really well. And, I mean, as you saw last night, he scored a goal in the playoffs for them, which really a crucial goal.
Yeah, crucial.
Probably have to say it's Dan Juma with 15 goals that season.
Yeah, a great signing. I would say he would be my second player of the season. I would give my player of the season to Philip Billing, obviously coming in from Huddersfield. Scored 8 goals this season and just been a really solid player for Bournemouth this season, controlling that midfield, playing in that more advanced role that maybe they hadn't seen previously from him. I think that's a great signing, and that's going to be my player of the season. So just lastly, Cameron, if you could give me your predictions for the playoffs. We'll start with the Barnsley-Swansea game. Obviously 1-0 to Swansea going into that leg. What do you think the outcome of the second leg will be? Who do you think will win?
I think Swansea have got what it takes to go all the way there. Barnsley, they have had a good season, but Swansea have been consistent throughout so many years, with their signings like Aya, and they've just been a good side overall. So I think they've got what it takes to get in the final of the playoffs. And then I'd say Bournemouth can. I mean, they got the 1-0 lead. So I think they can beat Brentford. It's going to be a tough game, but if they just play their cards right, sit back, play off counters, set up right with the new manager, then they got what it takes. It'll be a Swansea Bournemouth final, and of course I'm gonna say Bournemouth are gonna win it and get back in the Premiership.
Back the boys.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds good to me. So from Cameron here today, that looks like it'll be a Bournemouth securing promotion for the second time into the Premier League. Hopefully we do see that. I'm sure the fans out there will love to see that, and we just have to keep our fingers crossed from now until then. I think that's about it for today, Cameron. Thank you for thank you for being on the show, joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. It's been great fun. I just to wrap up. There will be a documentary that will follow this podcast. I'll be looking inside Bournemouth season this season and the playoffs that are coming up. Getting some footage of that and documenting how they do. So that's one to look forward to for the fans as well. Hopefully. That'll be good fun as well. I think that's it for today. So thank you to everyone for listening, and we'll catch you next time.